Hi, I'm Paul Goulet, and I'm thrilled to be the host of this Christmas special. The title is Defining Moments. I want to invite you into our world, into my family. You'll get to meet my wife, who struggled with anger, perfectionism, and she felt like a failure as a parent. You'll get to meet Isabel, our eldest daughter, who at the age of 18 had this crazy battle with cancer and anorexia. And then our baby son, who at the age of 18, his career as an athlete was cut short by a life-threatening disease. Yeah, we've been through some challenges, and I'm sure you have too. But let me tell you that through all these stories, we found this power, the power behind Christmas, the power behind a life that could be wonderful, but was going the wrong way. And then Ronaldo Wynn played for the NFL for 13 years, and he's going to tell you his story about he could have gone the wrong way with his life, but something happened, and he had a defining moment that he could have chosen one way or the other. He made the right choice. We want to be here for you as your friend to help you discover your defining moments, to turn them into a door to destiny instead of a door to disaster. Enjoy this first interview with Denise Goulet.
When we first moved to Las Vegas, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to become or do. My husband knew exactly where he was going. We were in a new church. He was a pastor of a church here in Las Vegas, and I was a mother of 3 children. I was really full of anger. It's almost like a secret that I had in my life. I knew that I had that much, that I had a problem with anger. Now, I didn't know that other people knew about that. And so I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. And I know that my husband at one point said, "Is there a day that you're not angry? Because I'm looking forward to that day." And he says, "I don't have to do this, and I don't have to be married and have this kind of life where there's so much anger in the home and the kids are, they don't know, they walk on eggshells." And I was like a perfectionist with them, and everything had to be perfect because I was full of fear, and of course there was a lot of pride in my life. But when he said that day, I decided that I was going to listen to what he was saying. And one night I was awakened. I remembered this verse that I'd read in the Bible. It says, "A harsh word stirs up anger, but a gentle answer turns away wrath." Mother's Day was coming up when I was awakened in the middle of the night, and I had a lot of guilt about it. I had a great mom. It wasn't about that. It was me, how I felt about me being a mom and all the mistakes that I've made and all the times that I've yelled at my kids and probably, emotionally abused my kids, not physically. So I had a lot of that. And that night, I really asked God to forgive me for that. And I said, "Lord, I need your help to make some changes in my life." So when I woke up I went back to bed, and I woke up the next morning, I asked my husband to forgive me for that anger. And I said, I'm going to do everything I can to change. And I'm going to go get some counseling. I'm going to admit to my kids that I have a problem with anger, as if they didn't know already. So I made myself accountable to others and began, on that journey of controlling my anger instead of my anger controlling me. And at that point, my husband asked me if I would share that on a Sunday morning, Mother's Day. I was willing to do that, and I shared that with the congregation. I realized that other people, it brought hope to other people, and it created defining moments in other people's lives. For example, there's a war hero that wrote me a letter, and he said, "I did not know I could ask my kids to forgive me for my mistakes and for my anger." And it brought hope in his life and reconciliation. I realized that by being transparent and sharing with others the struggles that I'm going through, trying to change in my life, it helps others to do the same. I was angry and full of shame, but now I've been set free and transformed.
I'll never forget that discussion that I had with my wife where she could have taken it the wrong way, but instead it became her defining moment to say, listen, do I want to continue to be angry? Do I want to continue to live in shame? Do I want to continue to struggle with perfectionism? Or do I want to make a change? And she made a change. And 31 years later, we are happy and whole, and we have an amazing family. But we had other trials. You're going to get to meet now Isabel and Samuel, both hit with horrible diseases. And not only were we able to weather it successfully, but they were able to get through it by this amazing power behind Christmas. Check it out.
My name is Isabel Parker. All my life I wanted to be a medical missionary. So when I was 18, I took off to San Diego, Point Loma Nazarene, to go to pre-med. And I struggled very hard. This was my first time being away from my home. And I started becoming very lonely, depressed. A few weeks later, I found a lump on my neck. And so I came home to do some testing, and my parents pushed really hard to try to get him to take it out. And that weekend, they took out the lump. Immediately following the surgery, I was driving to a restaurant to meet my dad and my mom was pretty upset. And I asked her what was wrong. I wanted her to tell me what the results were. I wasn't supposed to find out that day. But she tells me that I have Hodgkin's lymphoma. And basically, Hodgkin's lymphoma is a lymphatic cancer. And they were able to diagnose it right when they took it out because it was very obvious. I came home in Christmas and started chemo immediately. We did 6 rounds of chemo, which is 12 times. And I started to lose my hair. As we were about to enter into radiation, we went to a crusade. My parents were really concerned about some of the other nodules that had popped up on my neck, and I felt like a fire in my lungs. And so I told my mom, I think God's touching me. And when we came back, we did a CAT scan. And when they did the CAT scan, they found that we no longer had any nodules. So we were thrilled that God healed me, and that just showed me how much God did love me. And so at that point, I had developed an eating disorder because when I was going through chemo, I would purge a lot. When the chemo was done, I never stopped purging. And I started having extreme weight loss, and I had bouts of bulimia and anorexia. I think a lot of that came because of the loss of hope I felt. I didn't love myself anymore. I didn't know who I was in Christ. I struggled for about 2.5 years with an eating disorder. I had this experience one night where I was sleeping in the middle of the night, and I got up and I went into the bathroom, and I, for the first time, was able to see myself for how bad I really was, and that I was going to die if I didn't do something. And so from that moment on is when I decided to fight through my eating disorder, to get the help that I needed, and to do everything possible to recover from this so that it wouldn't rule my life. And God totally restored my life, and I have a family now and a beautiful husband and a beautiful life where I get to pour into other people around me as well.
My name is Samuel Goulet. I am the son of Pastor Paul and Denise Goulet. I think growing up for me was the first probably 10, 15 years of my life was really different from the next 4 or 5 years because I was really competitive. I was an athlete, and I was good at sports, and I was really good at competing and winning. But then there came a certain point where in high school, I was sick one day at a tournament, a preseason tournament, and I was throwing up, and I thought it was just a simple cold. And then 2 weeks later, I started not being able to feel what was going on. Like, I couldn't walk very well, and in practice I would just fall over, and so I was like, that's weird. And so eventually I went to the hospital and found out through a long process that I had something called Guillain-Barré. It's a virus that they don't know where it comes from, but the way it works is you start out sick, you think you're better, and then 2 weeks later you start to lose sensation and feeling in the end parts of your body, your hands and your feet, and it slowly goes throughout your whole body. In the process of being stripped of everything in Guillain-Barré and losing my senior basketball season, I feel like there was a point where I realized that things, careers, even goals, pursuing those things and even the fulfillment of those things, I really felt like I realized that those things would not really mean anything in the long run. I had a miraculous recovery, and I was able to play in the first round of the playoffs for my high school team on varsity. When I learned how to embrace loss with Guillain-Barré and with that time in my life, from that moment on, I've been in that part where I'm constantly just giving everything to Christ. After high school, I went to a semester at McGill University and played basketball there, but then I tore my ACL right before the playoffs, and I decided at that moment, it's a long process of recuperation, and I decided I wanted to pursue a life that was really focused on pursuing the Lord. And so I decided that I was going to join the ministry. Came back after that first semester. I eventually got married to my wife, and we've been married for over 2 years now. He gave me a partner in my wife, Jessica, who is really something of a blessing. I once was a man that acted on my own strength, on my own accord, and did things for my own gain. But now I try and be obedient to the Lord and do things unselfishly, and do things to spread the kingdom of God. And I just look to gain Christ and lose anything else, but just gain Christ.
I'm sure that some of you have been through some tremendous trials also, whether it's sickness or death or problems in school, or there are so many challenges that we face as parents, and there's so many challenges that we face as kids that life can be really hard sometimes. And all these tests are going to try us. I have to admit that my faith was tested when my kids got sick. But there was the power that I encountered, the power of prayer, the power behind Christmas that saw me through, that saw my wife through. Denise and I couldn't have made it through without an amazing church. That's what the International Church of Las Vegas means to us. They've surrounded us, they've prayed for us, they've really helped us see into the future. Because when you're going through a tough time, you don't see the future. All you see are the problems. Well, they're offering this amazing conference coming up. They call it the Prophetic Conference. And it really helps you and I look past our problems, look past our limitations into our destiny. Because that's really what a defining moment is all about, is finding our destiny. Check it out.
God will not overlook your righteousness. He will not overlook your endurance, your faithfulness.
No matter what dark force comes against you this year, God says you can break into a whole new day through it.
The breakthrough that you press through in this house will bring a resounding effect from coast to coast and from sea to sea in this nation.
One of the things I love about the International Church of Las Vegas is that it's really a family. And I want to introduce you to one of the family members, Ronaldo Wynn, who played for the NFL for 13 years. And his story is one of choices. When you're at a threshold, you can go right or left. He chose the right direction. Check it out.
Being from the south side of Chicago, if anybody knows about Chicago, they know that gangs are very rampant in Chicago. My neighborhood and, preferably, was very heavy in gangs. And for me, sports was my way out. So I always stayed busy. My parents supported me, but, I think it was more so for me to make sure I stayed focused, because even when your parents are not around, kids would always get into stuff that they shouldn't have any business getting into. So for me, I was a 3-sport athlete, but for me, football was my way to excel. I saw football as a way, to get me out of Chicago and to get me into school and get my schooling paid for. So I had a nice little game plan of what, how I was going to get to a Division I school, and Notre Dame was always a dream of mine. Even in the sense that other people were already saying, hey, you know what, Notre Dame, you're not big enough, you should go probably to a smaller school. You're never going to play. Notre Dame, they have stacked All-Americans, but yet and still, I was the first recruit to sign with Notre Dame. But the other part of that is when I got to Notre Dame, I pretty much had a lifestyle that was a lifestyle in destruction. Alcohol, girls, and all the other stuff, the temptations that, we were faced with. Well, I partook in all those temptations. My sophomore year, I'll never forget it. Myself and a few other athletes came into this meeting. It was an academic probation meeting. And the dean of athletics, academic school, he came in and he said, you know what? If you're in this school, if you're in this room, should I say, our odds are that you're not going to be back here at Notre Dame the next semester. Because we were the worst of the worst. We were the kids that, partied all the time where everybody else was going to school. I was that guy that was across the quad, and not going to school and telling another guy, hey, you need to come over here and go to this other party. I was that bad influence. And I knew at that moment I was in trouble. All the other stuff had caught up with me, and I began to think about what would my life be like if I wasn't here at Notre Dame. And at that point in time, I remember the first time in my room I prayed in like 2 years. And I asked God for two things. I asked him for a wife, and I asked him for an opportunity to get me back into Notre Dame where I wouldn't be kicked out. And he did one thing right away. I met my wife, LaTanya Wynn. I met her probably about a couple of weeks after I prayed that prayer. And from that point on, I remember when I got married, things began to slowly shift. God did a thing in my life so quickly, from having the opportunity to not being in Notre Dame and getting kicked out of school to now being on the dean's list in less than a year. And then my peers, respected me as a leader on my team because I wasn't a star player on my team. I remember Lou Holtz told me that he couldn't make me captain because I didn't have the grades. And I went from Lou Holtz telling me that he couldn't trust me to be a captain to, being one of the leaders on the team. So I look at all these different turn of events of why God did what he did for such a time as this. And it's not just to play football, it's for me to have an impact on people's lives and just to let them know that, how awesome God is and what he's doing, in my life, to let them know that he can do the same thing in anybody else's life, even when the chips are stacked against you, that he can do it. So, I look at that journey and, and even when I went to Jacksonville, just having the opportunity to go to a team that of leaders that believed in Christ. When you get the star quarterback at that time, Mark Brunell, who was a Pro Bowl player, to invite, the rookies when they first get there to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to invite you guys to my house. I'm going to have a Bible study. Why don't you guys come out? And my wife and I going to that Bible study that night, being water baptized, and just going through, that journey and just how God just provided and, made provisions for us when we had nothing to do with it. Getting drafted in the first round was only the beginning. I felt that, hey, if I played 3 or 4 years, that's the average. They say the NFL stands for not for long. So I figured if I played 3 years, that's the average, or 4 years. I've done more than I can even do. But God blessed me to be able to play 13 years in the NFL. I've played 6 years with the Redskins, 5 years starting my year in Jacksonville with the Jaguars, a year in New York, a year in New Orleans. And I know that every team that he had me on, he had me there for a purpose. To be that guy in the locker room, where the locker room is not always a pretty place, man. You get all types of, different things. And you got guys that are making millions of dollars. Guys that, to them, they don't need to submit or humble themselves or have that relationship with Christ. And those guys are looking for true happiness. The money doesn't make them happy. The girls don't make them happy. True happiness only comes from Jesus Christ. And I thank God that He's used my platform in the NFL to be able to impact others. And even right now, even after playing, after retirement, I know God is doing a lot more. And I think if I can just share with anyone out there, no matter what you're going through, where you've been, what you did, it's not about that, but it's about where you could go with Christ.
Defining moments in these lives have been pretty amazing, because I think in every situation we all have bad stuff that happens to us. We all have circumstances that are sometimes overwhelming. We all have situations where we struggle with addictions or eating disorders or an unexpected disease. Every situation can be defined or redefined. I remember Joseph in Genesis chapter 50:20, one of my favorite verses, talks about a man that had a great vision, and his brothers they didn't like the vision, so they beat him up, threw him in a hole, sold him to slavery. All right, now he's a slave. He's a slave in a house, Potiphar's house. Now he's doing really, really well. He's going back up, he's climbing the mountain again, even as a slave. One day the wife takes a liking to him. You know the rest of the story. He's falsely accused. He gets thrown into prison. He's in prison, he's rising again. He's redefining a difficult time in his life, and he's rising, even in the prison. Then all of a sudden, he interprets a dream, someone forgets him. He could have been out, once again, a disappointment, a broken heart. We've all experienced those days in our life. And I can tell you, even in my own life, I remember December 24th, 1978 was my redefining moment. A time in my life where I could have kept going downhill, but someone had shared this amazing message about the fact that this guy named Jesus was knocking on the door of my life. I'd never heard that before. I never heard that I could have a personal relationship with this God. I never heard that Jesus could come in and actually do something for me. I heard it the first time 2 weeks before Christmas, where a group of young people came into a dressing room after a hockey practice, because I was playing Division I college hockey. They came into the room and they shared this amazing message that Jesus came to give me life, and life more abundant. I'll tell you what, I never heard that stuff before. Oh yeah, I heard that he died, and I went to church a little bit growing up, but I never heard that I could have a relationship with him. See, it's kind of like Joseph. Joseph had all these bad things happen to him one after another. But at the end of Genesis, verse 20 of chapter 50, he says, what you guys meant for harm, God used for good, for the saving of many souls. You see, what's interesting is no matter what's been thrown at you from friends or strangers or family or circumstances, that by the power of Jesus, the power of this amazing love that he shows us, you can redefine your life. It's a time right now where you can make a choice. I heard that 2 weeks before Christmas. The day before Christmas, I was getting ready for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I was at my brother's house, and I hadn't spoken to my dad for a long, long time. You see, my dad and I didn't get along. He was a World War II hero, and I was a rebellious, stubborn teenager. And we just, our past, we just didn't connect at all. And I left home when I was really, really young. And so now was my chance at 20 years old to reconnect with my dad. So I thought, because I heard this relationship stuff. It started moving on me. And then 2 weeks later, I'm at my brother's house for Christmas. I'm thinking, maybe I'm going to talk to my dad. I'll never forget, my dad came into that house, and I said, hey, Dad. He didn't even say hello to me. That's how fractured our relationship was. I'm not blaming it all on him. I know I'd made a lot of mistakes too. But that's what my dad would do when things were tough. He would just withdraw, and that was hurtful. I was so ticked off. I went into the bedroom where I had my stuff. I started packing. And my brother, by this time, it was like 1 a.m, so it wasn't now the day before Christmas. My brother comes in and says, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting out of here. He says, what do you mean? I said, I hate Dad. I can't be in the same house. He said, Paul, you can't leave the day before Christmas. I said, you watch me. I was so mad. My brother looked at me after a couple minutes. He says, Paul, you know what you need? I said, no, Mickey, what do I need? Because see, Mickey was 10 years older than me. He was like the hero of the family. He seemed like he always did everything right. He was like the golden child in the family, and I was like the rebel. And so he goes, you know what you need? I go, no, what do I need? He goes, you need to receive Jesus Christ into your life. Have a relationship with him. Oh man, I got mad. I pointed my finger. I said, I'm never going to receive Jesus Christ in my life. I've tried religion. It doesn't work. Well, he didn't argue with me, which was probably the best thing he could have done. He simply fell to his knees and started praying. I didn't know that my brother had a relationship with Christ. and now is my chance. And so he fell to his knees, and I don't know what it was. I know now what it was, but at the moment, it was like, all the anger just seemed to, I forgot it all. I fell to my knees, and he led me in a simple prayer to say, Jesus, come into my life. Forgive me for all the mistakes I've made in my past. Give me a brand new start. Give me that abundant life that you promised in John 10:10. And friends, I hope this program has helped you maybe redefine your life. And I hope that this program has given you some hope this Christmas, because my defining moment was the day before Christmas, 1978, and it can become your redefining moment right now. You can have Jesus come into your life. I don't care what background you have. I don't care how bad you've been. I've done some bad stuff, but I'm telling you, he loves you. He has a wonderful plan for your life. He's not just this little baby in a manger anymore. He's the God of the universe, the one who died, rose again. And the Bible says he's standing at the right hand of the Father, always praying for you. Can you believe? You're loved. You are so loved. And I'm asking you right now, would you simply just fall to your knees right in your living room, right in front of your computer, and say, Jesus, come on. I want to give you a chance. I've tried drugs. I've tried sex. I've tried all these other things, and nothing brings me happiness. I'm telling you right now, it's your chance. Hey, I had a lot of success when I was young. Played a semi-pro hockey in Europe, and I had friends and girlfriends and money. Nothing brought me happiness. But what's brought me happiness is this relationship with Jesus Christ. And you can have the same one. He doesn't love me more than you. He loves you as much as me. He might even love you more, simply because you might not have been as messed up as I was. Hey, I've got to tell you that ICLV really loves you, and I love you. We love you. And we want you to experience what we have. In fact, go to those phone numbers on the screen right now. We have leaders that are willing to talk to you and even pray for your situations. Listen, I have a relationship with a God that changes everything. Healing of cancer, healing of broken marriages. He's real. So call those numbers, go online, definingmoments.cc. We want this Christmas not only to be a Merry Christmas, but a defining moment in your life. We love you. We'll see you real soon.